Welcome, Nerd Nation, to this latest edition of the Sports Nerd Show. We are a collection of sports nerds whose mission is to bring you as much sports talk as time allows over the next 60 minutes. Although we will strive to be highly informative and equally as entertaining over the next hour, we must warn you that there may be some cuss words along the way. But we don't give a damn because that is the way most humans in the real world tend to talk, and we, the sports nerds, are no exception. So without further ado, Nerd Nation, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride as I present to you the founder and host of this crazy-ass show, Scott, the Sports Nerd Wright.
You are looking live at another episode of the Sports Nerds. I am your host, Scott, the Sports Nerd Wright, coming to you from Lakeland, Florida, along with my co-host, producer Eliot Big E Lamba, Mr. Ken Costello, and tonight's special guest, as usual, Mr. Derek Laughlin. Wayne is off in the mountains somewhere, commuting with bears or whatever he's doing out there. We will discuss the top sports stories of the day and at times the not so top stories. So buckle up, grab a beverage, and enjoy. We are live Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. If you missed the live broadcast, you can watch the replays on Spotify, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, and on the blockchain via Pete D. Gentlemen, happy football Sunday. I hope you guys had a great day. I will say, to start the show off, I must tip my hat and wish Mr. Eliot Biggie Lamba the best of luck in the World Series beginning Friday. They beat my Guardians fair and square. I hated it. When Bibee gave you up that home run in the seventh inning, I'm going, oh, here we go again. He should have never thrown. He should never pitched to Stanton in the first place. Should have walked him because the first base was open. That's just my opinion, though. Anyway, congratulations, Eliot.
Thank you very much. And unfortunately,
but with that being said, go Dodgers. Anyway, go ahead, Eliot.
Unfortunately for you, your best bullpen in baseball didn't show up.
No, they didn't. And to be honest,
was the series right there.
Well,
your best bullpen in baseball gave up 6 home runs.
Yep. To be honest, the Guardians actually overused their bullpen in the playoffs because they don't have strong starting pitching.
Class A was Class A less.
Right. And with that being said, I mean, their arms were practically dead by the time they got into the ALCS. So
and Eddie Harris was not coming through that fence.
No, Eddie Harris wasn't coming through. Neither was. You see my new shirt?
Here we go.
Yeah, I see that.
My new jersey.
I see that.
Yes.
I'm playing 2 small violins for you.
Oh, whatever. Anyway.
I can't believe that's the Yankees' first World Series, though, since 2009.
Yeah.
Yeah, 15 years.
The dynasty's done.
Yeah, but don't really happen in baseball anymore.
Yeah, there was that stretch there from the 90s to the 2000s where it just seemed like every year they were going to be in the World Series.
Yeah. Well, we won, 4 out of 5, I think.
They won.
We lost in 97. We won 96, 98, 99, 2000.
2000, yeah. And they went 9 years between appearances and now 15 since this one. Since the last one.
And there's been a lot of different teams in between. I mean, you had Houston there for a minute.
Right.
The Dodgers have been there for a little bit. And then you have your teams that show up once, like Texas last year.
And Kansas City has also done it too.
Yeah.
So there's really no, I was going to say, clear-cut dynasty per se.
No.
The Dodgers are the. Oh, I was going to say the Dodgers are the closest to it, but they're kind of like the Braves dynasty, where they win 100 games every year, and then they win the one World Series and have to be in the bracket.
Yeah, they're the only ones that could probably be flirting at the edge of it, but there's really no one out there.
And to make matters worse on my end, the one World Series the Braves happened to win in the 90s was against the Indians.
Mm-hmm.
What?
The one World Series that the Braves in the 90s won was against the Indians.
Yeah. That was the one. That was the one that
the only one they wanted.
The Cubs that won in
The
2016.
loser of that series was the ultimate loser.
So.
But hey,
Anyway, good luck, Eliot.
Marlins, you've lost. You know what I'm saying? The Cubs.
Yes, we lost to the Marlins. We lost to the Braves, and in 2016, we lost to the Cubs after being up 3-1. But that's okay. It is what it is. But anyway, good luck, Eliot. I hope the Dodgers thank you. But that's just me.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on.
I jumped on the wrong bandwagon.
Yeah,
you tend to do that. You tend to do that. You know what makes me feel good about that is if you're rooting for the Dodgers, they just might lose because that's all you do is pick losers.
Yes, I know. Yes, it's true. That's true. It's true. Yes, it's true. I'm going to start the show off with the Browns and the Bengals real quick.
Okay. Speaking of losers, no, I'm just kidding.
Yes. First of all, let me just state this, and I posted this on Twitter and on Facebook. I am one of those fans who wish number 4 would be benched or removed from this team since the day he was acquired. I refused to be the passionate fan I was for over 50 years because of his past and presence on this team. But I never wished this type of injury or any injury on him in order to reach that goal. Those fans who cheered his injury are classless, uncaring humans. I wish number 4 the best in his recovery, but now we need to move on with DTR or Winston to see what this team can be for the rest of the season. Go Browns and Dog Pound. That was my post to Facebook and to Twitter earlier today. What's odd about this is that, yes, I was sorry to see. I mean, and I saw that I saw the replay, and you can see his Achilles snap as he planted that right leg. You could see it snap. I've never been a Deshaun Watson fan because of his legal issues, because of the kind of person he is off the field based on his history. I wasn't too comfortable listening to some of my favorite players saying he was a great person off the field when we all know that's not true, including Myles Garrett and Joel Batanio. But they're gonna back up their quarterback regardless, but that's because that's their job. I want to say that I don't care who starts going forward. I told you guys I would not root for this team as long as number 4 was on the team. I didn't wear my Browns gear because I'm not going to disrespect the injury today. I'll go back to my Browns gear next week because now I know he's done for the season, quite possibly done for his career based on that injury as well. It's a very good possibility. So I'll go back to my Browns gear next week and see what happens. Again, I don't care who starts, if it's DTR or Winston. Winston did have a touchdown pass at the end of the game, but that was junk. That was junk pass. That was a junk touchdown. So I don't care what happens.
I can appreciate you pointing out that you didn't wish him to get injured.
I didn't, not at all. This is not how I wanted it to end.
No,
I appreciate you stating that. However, in life, you got to be careful what you wish for because you might get it in a way that you don't want.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, you've been wishing ill will on that man for the longest time.
I wanted him to get cut. I wanted him to get benched. You know, it is what it is.
You wished ill will on him for a long time. You finally got your wish. It only happened in a way that you didn't like.
Correct.
But that's probably why it happened. You kept dusting ill will at his right.
So Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles because Scott was wishing bad things on him.
Am I that? Am I like? Do I have that kind of power?
Happen. If you wishing bad on somebody, it might
have that kind of power. I'm nobody. Nobody knows who I am.
I don't think that Scott is the all-knowing and doing controller of karma.
And to be honest,
I don't think so.
I'm not the only Browns fan who wished ill will on that man. I mean, the entire Browns fandom did. Okay,
exactly. That's why Browns fans are losers, just like their organization. Plain and simple.
Brett's in the house. He says the Yankees are not going to do much when they have 4 batters over a 290 batting average. And he asked me, do we finish the year with Winston knowing he's on a 1-year deal, or is it time for DTR, and do the Browns start making trades to collect draft capital? Brett, I'm going to wait. I'll let Eliot answer you first, if he wants to address that, if he wants to address it at all.
Hey, if Brett chooses to pop out of his hole every once in a while and talk smack without knowing what the hell he's talking about, okay, that's fine by me.
I think he's talking about the Indians. I mean, the Guardians. Talking about you're not going to be able to do much against the Yankees when the Yankees have 4 over 290.
I don't know what he was talking about there. He didn't clarify if he was talking about the Yankees or talking about the Guardians.
Talking about, because Brett doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. And Brett, as far as you're asking, to be honest, I don't care who starts. In my eyes, the season's pretty much. Yeah, in my eyes, the season's pretty much over anyway, so it doesn't matter to me. I mean, the defense played better today, especially in the first half today. The defense was in control of that game, but because the offense couldn't get off the field, or the offense couldn't stay on the field, the defense suffered again by getting tired towards the end, and that's how it ended up getting. They scored 2 touchdowns in the third quarter because the defense was gassed. Because again, they couldn't get the offense couldn't get anything going today. So either way, I don't know. I don't think DTR is the future either. Everybody's talking about Sanders out of Colorado being the next Browns quarterback. I'm not sold on Shadur Sanders at all. What?
You don't want Shadur?
I'm not sold on him. I'm not. I'm just not.
I'm not either.
I think he's overhyped. I think he's overrated. And I think if he went up against a decent college defense, he'd get killed. I'm just saying.
Well, the other thing about him is he likes to throw his linemen and his receivers under the bus when he doesn't play well, and that's not going to fly in the NFL.
He doesn't put. I mean, he's just like his dad. It wasn't my fault.
No, he's not like his dad. His dad's a Hall of Fame player and one of the best cornerbacks in the history of the league.
That's just it. I think his game will not transfer to the NFL.
I don't think it will translate at all.
You don't have his father there to pick him up. That's the way I see it.
So
the bad thing for the Browns, though, is with Watson being hurt, I mean, that contract that was unmanageable to begin with becomes even more unmanageable because you can't cut him. Like, that's why the Broncos sat Russell Wilson at the end of last season so that he didn't get hurt in those last 2 games and they could cut him and make him a post-June 1st cut. You can't make somebody a post-June 1st cut when they're injured, and he isn't going to be able to pass a physical probably until next year. And you said it could be a career-ending injury where he can't play, but he's not going to retire. He's going to rehab. He's got a guaranteed contract. He's going to rehab.
It could be a contract-ending injury because the time that it takes for him to get back, the contract pretty close to running its course.
Yeah, because I mean, it took. I mean, Aaron Rodgers got hurt the first game of the season, and yes, he started the first game of the next season. But you know what? Achilles is no joke. It's worse than an ACL tear. Achilles is bad.
Here's my thing, though, is that does Deshaun Watson have the type of dedication and discipline to be able to come back from that injury as fast as somebody like Aaron Rodgers comes back?
We're about to find out.
He's not going to have that. That's not his makeup. You know what I'm saying? That's not who he is. He may not want to play anymore after that because he knows he's guaranteed money. You know? So he doesn't have to push himself to get back.
I don't think the NFL is ever going to have to worry about fully guaranteed contracts for quarterbacks after that contract because that's
the worst contract in NFL history. Worst.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. And I mean, could go down as one of the worst trades ever. I still think the Herschel Walker one is because it fueled the Cowboys dynasty, but if the Texans go on to win a couple Super Bowls with all the draft picks they collected, it's going to be right up there with
they got a boatload of draft picks from us for that trade, and they got some really good players in the draft off of those draft picks, including C.J. Stroud.
Right.
So I mean, it was disastrous for the Browns organization. But I mean, Houston. I mean, starting from last season, I mean, they're on a roll. They're really, really. I mean, one of the top teams in the AFC right now because of those draft picks. So it is what it is.
And one of the top teams in the NFC today lost their quarterback as well, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, but it's not a long-term issue. He's back. It wasn't a serious injury.
Yeah, it sounds like it's rib. It sounds like it's his ribs. It's his ribs, and I mean that you do. He can wear a jacket to help with that, but I mean that's something where you do wonder if he gets hit again.
I think it was a bruise. I think it was bruised ribs, and if that's the case, I mean, yes, it's going to be hard to breathe for a couple of days, but after that, he should be okay. With the flak jacket on to play. He wasn't seriously injured.
But does that alter his way of playing? Because in the back of his mind, he don't want to get hit in the ribs again.
No, I don't think so. I don't think he's that kind of player.
That's easy for you to say.
I mean, from watching this kid, I mean, this kid can light you up.
That's easy for you to say. Once he gets
I've
hit
had
on the
bruised ribs before.
once you get hit on those ribs again, and you ain't gonna tell me that the defense ain't gonna be targeting them ribs?
Oh yeah. They'll
find out that stand up to that hit.
That's a given.
Yeah, they'll find out how good that jacket works.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'd say if they're smart, they might want to hold him out a week. You know what I'm saying? If his ribs aren't 100%, put in a Band-Aid on a
well, Marcus Mariota looked good today.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Carolina. So
I mean, it was Carolina's defense. That's not saying much.
They got the Bears coming up, though, and I mean, the Bears are coming off the bye, and we're playing pretty well. And it's
do you really want Jaden McDaniels taking a hit from one of them crazy-ass Bears that be running around in that field?
Well, and they play out the Giants the next. They play at the Giants the next week, and so you do wonder if he's only 75, 80%, they're worried about it. You hold him out for a week and then bring him back against a division rival on the road.
Because the Giants their defense don't play either. You see, I mean, they lost big time today, but they were hitting Philadelphia like they stole something.
Right.
So I don't know. That's an organizational decision that's going to have to be made. But
was Thibodeau back in the lineup today?
Who?
Thibodeau.
I don't recall seeing him.
I know he was hurt last week. I thought he might be out for maybe a week, but I didn't know if he was back or not.
Did anybody bother watching the early game? New England and Jacksonville?
No, I did, but I was doing things, and I went to the store at halftime. But from what I gathered from
I just did to see what Drake May could do. Yeah,
he didn't look bad.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have any all-pro wide receivers. It's the worst receiving core in the league. He doesn't have a good offensive line. Hunter Henry had a nice game. I mean, I was baffled by the coaching decisions in that game again because, Jacksonville's up 15 points. They ran it like 17 straight times, which was good. They were moving the ball on the ground, bleeding the clock. And they could have kicked a field goal to go up 18, which would have been a 3-possession game. They went for it on fourth down. Yep. Didn't get it. Then Jacksonville went back down and scored, and they could have made it an 8-point game, and instead they went for 2 and didn't get it, so it remained a 2-possession game. And I'm just like, what are you guys doing? And then the announcing crew is like, oh, that's a good thing. You should know whether you need 1 or 2 right now. It's like, no, you keep it a 1-possession game for as long as you can. That's not smart football by either team.
And you wonder why these are the two of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah.
It wasn't really something I was interested in today because, I mean, the majority of these overseas games are just, with bad teams. I mean, there was a couple of exceptions with Minnesota being there, Chicago being there. But it just, I'm sorry.
Scott has to watch the Browns every week. Yeah. He can't be watching 2 games like that.
It's bad enough watching the Browns every week, and I have to deal with, watching
the Germans. The next, they get Carolina and the Giants.
Yeah, that's the next. That's Germany, Carolina, and the Giants. I mean, come on.
They really don't want Europe to follow football.
They're going to give them the wrong perception of football.
When you show the European people bad football, they're not going to fall in love with the game. It's just not going to happen.
If you're so hyped about having a Super Bowl overseas, why are you going to put together your worst competition? Come on.
No kidding.
The worst pairings you're putting. You're showing them what bad football is.
Right.
But yet you want to have a Super Bowl out there?
Yeah.
Well, the good teams don't want to go over there because they don't want to give up a gate.
Right.
And so what you get So what you get is Jacksonville over there twice. You get Carolina. We'll go over there. Nobody wants to watch us here. We'll go over there, and the games actually sell pretty well there, no matter who they send. So that's what's going on. Is the bad teams.
I think if the Jaguars went under, they move them to London. Tennessee played Buffalo tough for one half.
Cooper scored a touchdown.
Yeah, he did really good today.
The big one was the Florida State kid, Coleman.
Yeah.
He had 4 catches, I think, for like 125 yards, and he played really well. They turned it on in the second half. I mean, Tennessee's got a good defense. Their offense just prevents them from being a consistently good team. But Buffalo turned it on in the second half. They look really good.
Yeah, when you pick up a guy like Cooper, that's going to open up opportunities for other guys like Coleman and Shakir. You know what I mean? So
and Amari Cooper fit right in today. I mean, he had a really couple of good catches, including a touchdown pass.
Yeah, one drop on the first pass.
One drop on the first pass, which Peter Browns fans went nuts saying, "Go get a look at that. He's picking up where he left off from Cleveland, dropping a pass in Buffalo." But he had a decent game. He had some really good catches, including the touchdown pass.
If those two can gel, their offense is going to be pretty scary.
I mean, Cooper and Josh. I mean, Jesus God, Josh Allen have the potential to be that combo in Buffalo that he had with Diggs.
Except Amari Cooper ain't a whiner and a complainer.
No, he's not a whiner and a complainer. He's all about the team.
Did you see Diggs get into a fight with the entire Packers?
Wasn't he ejected after that? He never even got on the field. Is that right?
Smack.
They only had 55 net yards in the game. I think he had like 3 receptions for 5 yards. I mean, it was brutal.
All those hitch passes.
And welcome back to, by the way, just backtracking. Welcome back to Nick Chubb.
Thank you
for being
Nick Chubb back on the field today.
All the way back from that catastrophic.
He did have a rushing touchdown today, he only
had 11 carries for 22 yards, but
with that offensive line, how's he going to get?
That's actually probably pretty good.
With that offensive line, you're not going to find space anyway. What was funny was the reaction of the fans during introductions, because they booed the hell out of Deshaun when he came out of the tunnel, and then the next person out was Chubb, and they went freaking nuts. So, it was glad to see number 24 back on the field today. I just hope that we can get this offensive line situation fixed, so he'll have an opportunity to show what he's got.
You wouldn't have to wait another season or two for that to happen.
Probably, yes. You're right, Eliot. Yes. So, but
draft offensive line people.
Yes.
Instead of quarterbacks. Protect the ones you have.
Right.
What's that one segment that Marcus Spears does in the morning on Get Up?
Oh.
It's called "You Need Better Security." And he shows guys getting sacked continuously. He's like, "You need new security, man."
I love me some Marcus Spears. I really do. I love Marcus Spears.
Yeah.
How about Saquon coming back to New York?
Oh, Saquon ripped it, dude.
The man just freaking went off on that Giants defense today.
He made them totally regret what they did to him way back when they signed Daniel Jones ahead of him.
17 carries for 176 yards and a touchdown. The Philadelphia defense had 8 sacks on Daniel Jones today.
Who didn't see that one coming?
Speaking of bad offensive lines.
Right.
So, I mean, that was just a beat down by Saquon. And the Giants fans, they did boo him.
Yeah, they were booing him hard.
Jason Kelsey posted on Twitter. He said, "Jason's Kelsey. That's not my train. Whose train is that?"
That's my train.
Okay.
Well, I'll put it on mute.
What do you guys live like Petticoat Junction and shit?
I know, right? God, there's a lot. I mean, that's loud. Holy cow! I thought my train was freaking loud.
Here comes a cannonball.
I know, right? Jeez. Anyway,
Mr. Drucker's General Store, wasn't it? Drucker's General?
Yeah, something like that.
Petticoat Junction?
Yeah, Jason Kelsey posted on Twitter, "For the life of me, I don't understand why Giants fans hate Saquon for what happened and not the Giants organization for the fact he's an Eagle. They have absolutely no one to blame other than the Giants ownership and management decisions for why he is no longer a Giant. Obviously understand their hate of the Eagles and desire for him not to succeed. Just very odd. This energy is directed at him more so than the organization." He makes a really good point in that statement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
He makes the right point.
Yes.
The organization made a choice that the catapult of it all right, was when they re-signed Daniel Jones and didn't extend him instead.
Yes.
Okay, that's them saying that we need Daniel Jones more than we need you.
And yet Saquon's the better player.
By far.
Well,
and they waste
incentive to run all over the Giants, dude.
Yes.
That's I like to say something in defense of Cowboys fans. We know who to blame. We know who to blame for all of our problems.
Jerry Jones.
And it ain't the players.
It's Jerry Jones.
It's everybody in the staff. So we know where the blame lies. So it's to our credit, we don't miss targets. We know who directly to blame for it.
And to his credit, Jerry Jones has said, "Yeah, it's my fault. It's on me."
But he'll fire anybody that asks him the question on the air.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, his rant against the DJs on that morning show earlier this week, I mean, that was just off the freaking rails. What are you doing? You know what, Jerry? If you don't want the criticism, don't do 2 radio shows a week and be the face of the franchise. Get back into your boat, and let the football people take care of the football.
Yeah, and keep your helicopter away from the training facility.
Correct.
Well, I need to clarify something. He only does one show. The other one is a parody, and it's not him.
Parody is not him. Oh, it's not actually him. Okay.
No, it's a parody, and it is hysterical.
Right,
and,
but he's the one holding press conferences. And not the coach.
Absolutely, he's the only owner I've ever seen in any sport that does that. And
he does a press conference after every game.
Yeah, they don't.
He's the only owner that does that.
They have to see him. It's unreal. I've never seen anyone do that. I never saw Al Davis do that.
No.
And Jerry is just, I don't know. It's just
Brett made a point. Saquon has more touchdowns this year at MetLife than Daniel Jones does.
Wow. Does that mean like touchdown passes?
Goes come back and
yes. McManus, yes.
Oh, McManus? Yeah.
I was a little nervous whether the kicker was going to sabotage us again because special teams almost cost the Packers that game. And Jordan Love, I love how he plays. I mean, that touchdown pass he had Kraft is unbelievable. One of the best touchdown throws you'll ever see. But he also likes to throw 1 or 2 mind-boggling passes where you're like, what have you seen there? People talk how he plays like Rodgers. He doesn't play like Rodgers. He plays like Favre.
Yeah, which is
reminds me a lot of like Favre.
Yeah, he's a gunslinger like Favre was.
I was extremely impressed with that graphic that Fox ran about the first 22 games and the number of touchdown passes that each quarterback had thrown. You know, Bart Starr threw 15. Of course, they were running the ball mostly his first 22 games, but Favre had 28, I think, and Rodgers had 33, something like that.
Yeah,
and Love's got 45. So
yeah,
Right. Some of that's the rules, but
I mean, that's true. But
I mean, yeah, they've had. I mean, like with Starr, I think Horning won the MVP in '61 and Taylor won the MVP in '62.
yeah,
So they were a running team at the beginning of his career, and then when he won the MVP in '66, he only threw, I want to say, 16 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a completely different. The only one that was throwing touchdown passes back then was Unitas.
They had the power sweep and nobody could stop. So why he didn't have to throw.
Create a lane here. Create a lane here.
Yep.
Let the running back run through the gap.
Run the alley.
Run the alley.
Yep.
And the Packers still use that play today.
Lots of teams do.
Lots of teams do. It's a great play.
Yeah.
Detroit, Minnesota.
Well, I mean, let's touch back. I mean, Green Bay win, but you hate the freaking uniforms, Derek.
I did not like the uniforms. Hopefully that's a one and done.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they look.
They look a little like Swiss
The
cheese.
winter white.
Yeah, I mean, we call it any kind of cheese you want to call it. It's white. White cheddar, Parmesan, Swiss cheese, provolone, whatever you want to call it. The white Green Bay helmets, they're terrible. They need to go. I'm just saying. So, all right. Game of the day was Minnesota and Detroit. That came down to the last minute as well. With Detroit kicking a field goal to win the game. That game lived up to its hype, guys. That was a fantastic football game. That was a really, really good game.
I'll be honest with you. I could see that being a preview of the NFC Championship game.
Sure.
It's possible.
I could see that.
Absolutely.
I could see Detroit winning again. So
yeah, I mean,
I'd love to see Minnesota have a chance.
Depending on where they're seated, because they could wind up playing each other soon.
Oh, I know. They still got one game left against each other.
Yeah, I thought at the beginning of the year Detroit and Green Bay could be the championship game, and that's how the NFC North is brutal. I mean, it's a
Green Bay will be in the conversation without a doubt, but all four teams possibly. But
I think Chicago will come back to earth as the season goes on. I think they're going to win 8 or 9 games, but I think that's going to be the odd team out. I mean, which is still fine. I mean, they got Caleb Williams on a rookie contract, and they win 8 or 9 games in that division this year. They're going to be able to track free agents.
And the game is finally coming to him. It's slowing down for him. He's been playing real well the last few weeks too. So he's getting better and better.
He's getting more confidence.
Yeah, but Jared Goff was 22 of 25 for 280, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He did get sacked 4 times. I mean, he had a 140 quarterback rating at the end of the day, which was phenomenal. I mean, Jared Goff has just bloomed being with Detroit as opposed to what he was doing in Los Angeles with the Rams. I mean, he's found his home, and Dan Campbell is really good at getting him, or I guess it's the offensive coordinator, not necessarily Dan Campbell, because Campbell's a defensive coach.
Can I tell a story right quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
The last bowl game I covered was the Armed Forces Bowl. It was Air Force in California, and Jared Goff was Cal's quarterback that day, and he went nuts on them. And I thought that day, this guy could be a real good NFL quarterback. And sure enough, he's finally. It took a little while, but he's finally there, and he looks more like he did that day against the Air Force than anybody I've ever seen. So I like to think I called that one.
Sam Darnold actually had a good day too. He was 22 of 27 for 259 and a touchdown. He did have a pick, and just like Goff, he was sacked 4 times. His rating was 103.5, which isn't bad.
No, he got me 18.8 fantasy points. So
Aaron Jones had a good day. I mean, he 14 carries and 93 yards and a touchdown. Good to see him back and healthy as well. And then with Jahmyr Gibbs had a day, 15 carries for 116 and 2 touchdowns. This was a shootout from the beginning. I mean, granted, shootouts are normally in the 40s, but 31-29 was back and forth the entire game.
Also, shout out to Ricky Pearsall for making it all the way back from that gunshot wound that he suffered in that attempt.
For the Niners, yes. The Niners, yes. Yeah, he caught his first pass, and the crowd went freaking nuts.
Yeah.
Well,
Billy noted.
See what he can do.
And I'd like to
now without you going down.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a request about State Farm.
Uh-oh.
I think they need to pull that Aiden Hutchinson commercial because that's in real poor taste now. Him doing ballet with sitting there with two broken double fracture in his leg. Yeah, that's you need to trash that one.
Bundle and Save?
Yes.
Save?
I hate that commercial anyway, but it's in poor taste now with him laying up.
I hate any commercial where you got football.
I mean, I don't know whose commercials are worse. State Farm, Geico, Progressive, and Nationwide.
They're all bad.
Actually, AT&T. Remember what a pro wants, what a pro needs.
Oh God! Yeah, Patrick Mahomes doing T-Mobile commercials.
Oh yeah, the Mahomes and the autos.
You know how silly the Liberty Mutual commercials are.
Oh my God!
When I was a kid, Liberty Mutual's commercials were fucking scary because they were crashes all over the place. I mean, these were horrific crashes too. Now they've gone from terrible to ridiculous.
But also the Liberty Mutual one with the wax figure. And that dude, those are just god awful bad.
Yes.
God awful bad.
With the Statue of Liberty in the back going.
Yes.
Yeah, especially that guy with his 1950s big hair.
Jesus God.
I feel like he belonged on a white man.
Rides his bicycle over the rail.
So
do better, Liberty Mutual.
Atlanta, I was really disappointed with Atlanta not showing up.
I mean, Gino had himself a game today, guys.
He did.
Yeah.
And Atlanta didn't show up at all.
No, except for Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
That was it. Drake London got his customary touchdown. He managed to do okay.
Pitts had 7 receptions for 65 yards too. So he got into the game.
But DK Metcalf got carted off the field too.
Oh no, I didn't hear about that.
A knee injury.
Oh no, dang.
Yep. So I'm telling you, injuries are just littered all over the NFL this year.
It's getting brutal.
I mean, it's just like in the other. We had injuries last year too, guys. We had injuries last year,
and it makes fantasy terrible.
Which again is another reason why I don't play fantasy football anymore.
Now, you just don't play because you suck. Okay?
Well, that too. Right. Yeah, that's it too.
Even if everybody was playing at their full potential every week, you'd still find a way to lose.
Yes, I would.
Okay. So don't make any excuses. But anyway, all these injuries, they tend to make the fantasy game a little bit less.
Just a heads up, there's a note on ESPN. The 49ers feared that Brandon Ayuk has a torn ACL.
Yeah. What about Metcalf? Anywhere on him?
Nothing on Metcalf, no.
Yeah, it looked kind of ugly. So.
Well, and like I told you, I mean, it wasn't. I mean, I looked at it, and it wasn't his hip; it was his knee, and it looked like it got hyperextended at least.
I must have seen it the wrong way. But
my one impression of the Niners, having watched them this year, is I remember last year when everybody was talking about Purdy being the MVP of the league, and I didn't even think he was the MVP of his own team because I thought that was Christian McCaffrey. And you really do see with that offense that without Christian McCaffrey, they're just not the same team down by the full line.
No, they're not.
I mean, they aren't. And I know that I'm not necessarily judging on this game because Ayuk tore his ACL. Debo Samuel got knocked out of the game. And then you don't have McCaffrey.
He was sick. He was ill.
Debo?
It wasn't nothing game action that forced Debo to leave. He was ill.
Oh, okay. I saw. I was finishing up the other games, and I saw I was out on one of the fantasy lineups.
Yeah, he was
that I was
ill.
playing against.
He was ill in pregame, and then he tried to go, and then he had to leave because you can see it in his face. He was just ill.
Well, and
Well,
Tyler,
I had turned over and watched the Formula One U.S. Grand Prix, and then when I turned back over, they said that Debo was out of the game, but they didn't say what was going on. So
yeah, it's an illness. It's some kind of illness. Also, Miami's quarterback Tyler Huntley was ruled out after suffering a right shoulder injury, which just plays into the fact that it looks like Tua's coming back this week. Tua's due back this week, so that's
Godspeed to him, because I tell you what, one more hit to the head, he might not get up.
Yeah.
Aiden
O'Connell. I'm sorry, what, Derek?
Well, I was just gonna say, we said that the last time he had a concussion before the one he had in week 2. I mean,
every concussion you have is worse than the previous one.
Yeah,
I know.
And eventually, you might succumb to that.
Now, these concussions are like playing Russian roulette, because you never know when that chamber is going to come.
Chamber, hoping that bullet doesn't land.
Exactly.
Right.
I
fully agree. If I were him, I'd have real reservations about playing. But that's the thing that makes those guys good, is also the same thing that plays into their detriment.
Right,
I remember
exactly.
Aikman and Young in the 90s. I mean,
I
were having concussion problems.
I appreciate his desire to play.
When it's been your entire life from childhood.
Yeah.
Football's been his life, because that's what his parents, his father pushed him to be, was a football player.
Yeah.
You know? And so I mean, what else does he know?
Most of these Hall of Famers don't. I'm not saying Tua's a Hall of Famer, but most of the Hall of Fame quarterbacks, they don't go out on top. They go out limping and battered and injured and unable to play anymore, because there's such a competitive desire. And I think that trait is true in any starting quarterback, whether they're Hall of Fame or not. You're seeing that with Tua. The competitive drive to play and be good is probably overriding some common sense as far as
Roger Staubach.
What happens in the next hit?
Roger Staubach's last professional pass went to an offensive lineman, and they had to call back because he was ineligible. And that was it. I mean, he was as fierce a competitor as I've ever seen. But some
of these guys treat this profession, or whatever sports profession they're in, like it's life and death.
Yeah.
Because for them, that's what it is.
Yeah.
If I'm not doing this, then what's my life worth? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So,
but these guys have to know, coming out of college, you're going to have, the average NFL career is now 3 or 4 years. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to have plans for life after football.
That's why NFL stands for not for long.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. You've got to have plans, which is why you go to college to get that degree, to have plans for after football. So, but most of these guys don't do it.
You're trying to get that bag. Everybody's trying to get the bag. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, look at the careers. I mean, look at Dan Marino when he was done. He was battered, bruised, and he had bad knees. And, and I mean, you look at Montana, he was the same thing. I mean, all these guys, Elway, the guys that we grew up watching, they all came. It was a different era, but they got the hell beat out of them during their tenure. And, they're going to have health problems the rest of their lives.
Look at Favre. He's got Parkinson's now.
Favre, yeah, he's got Parkinson's. Yeah.
Have you seen the commercial with Emmitt Smith and Dan Marino?
Yes. Yes.
Trying to make a comeback.
Yes.
Emmitt's falling asleep on the top.
Yep.
Let's tap the brakes on that one.
That commercial is classic. That is a classic commercial.
That's what I admire about guys like Boomer Esiason and Phil Simms. They knew when to quit, and they got lucrative jobs, and they did well when they were doing it. I guess CBS pulled the plug on both of them this year, because I haven't seen either one of them on CBS this year.
Boomer's got a radio show in New York City.
Yeah, he's had that for years.
Yeah. I don't know what Phil Simms is doing. I guess I don't know. I think he's doing radio broadcasts of the Giants game.
Giants.
So
I think the next quarterback that's going to be unemployed is Tony Romo. That is not a good announcer right now.
You think that experiment has seen its day, you think?
I think so.
I mean, he came out beginning really good, but then he's just gotten tired of.
Hey, Romo?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's somebody that didn't improve. He never improved off his first year. Today he called Jordan Love Jared Love, and Nance didn't even correct him.
Kind of like his football career, huh?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'd like to see Tony Romo tried out as a golf commentator, because he knows golf like back of his hand.
Yeah, he's a really good golfer.
CBS doesn't show him, doesn't use him. Try him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It couldn't be any worse than what they've got.
I mean, he was getting a lot of flack last year, and it just isn't getting any better. He isn't a step ahead of the game. Like that first year, he kind of knew all the schemes and the playbooks, and was able to say this team's running this way, this team's going that way, and was almost calling plays in the huddle. He's not doing that anymore.
Well, I don't think you can get much worse than what Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit are doing on Thursday nights.
They have no chemistry. They have no chemistry whatsoever. At all.
And Al needs to hang it up. Al needs to hang it up. He was great at one time, but that day is gone.
I think there's a few
that ship
people
is sailing and ain't coming back.
Like Bob Costas too needs to hang it up.
Bob, oh my God, Bob, what the hell was he thinking the other day? Talking about killing dogs in Cuba or whatever. Christ.
He's out of his
earth.
Cotton picking mind.
And Costa's is only he's about 8 years older than I am.
Derek, Brett's asking, is Hassan Reddick allowed to play tonight? Saying, I think he reports to the team tomorrow. He's not playing tonight.
Yeah, he reports on Monday, they said.
Yeah.
He'll be
depends on how he's kept himself in shape. If he's kept himself in shape, he should be able to be out there pretty quick.
Right.
So
that too. So I guess he said, well, shit, Devontae Adams, son, I might as well just go on.
Well, I think what happened with him is that he put feelers out in the free agent market or a trade market.
Nobody wanted to pay him.
And nobody wanted him.
Nope.
Yeah, and if you sit for too many games, you lose your year of NFL service, and your contract reverts back to what it was. You never hit free agency. I think it's stupid what he did, because he paid so much in fines compared to if he would have just been there on day one. That he's not going to make that money back. I don't get holdouts like that.
Not only that, but I think he turned off other teams from wanting to deal with him.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? They don't want that kind of corrupt.
They don't need that kind of baggage.
Look at Le'Veon Bell. I mean, he ruined his career sitting out that year and holding out like that. I mean, it's just – I understand why they want to get the big contract with the guaranteed money, because you see the injury with Watson. One play, not even any contact, and your whole career can be done. You got to get that money while you can. But at a certain point, you got to decide what's the best way to get it. And sitting out a year and incurring a bunch of fines and lost income is not the way to get more money.
Just like, but Ayuk just got his bag, and now he's got a torn ACL.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Imagine if he.
Have you seen what Le'Veon Bell's been doing lately?
Don't get me started, Ken.
Who?
Don't get me
Le'Veon
started.
Bell.
He and AB are in the same category, meaning Antonio Brown are in the same category.
Well, what's Lev been up to, man?
Oh God,
he's budding up
Yeah,
to
but
Trump.
Antonio Brown has an excuse, because ever since that Vontaze perfect hit that he took that one game, I think it was a Sunday night game.
his brains have been scrambled ever since.
Yeah, exactly.
And Bell and AB are cuddling up.
at that point.
Let me just say this: they're cuddling up to the
Trumpkin.
ex-president.
Trumpkin.
Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell are cuddling up to your favorite politician, Eliot.
Oh, well, that's because they have CTE and they're retarded.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So
Retarded people tend to flock together, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
They're the biggest retard there is out there.
They are just a disgrace to sports fans everywhere. They really are. They're
They need to
terrible.
disappear.
Yeah, so until now they had disappeared. They weren't even in the news.
Yeah.
Now they decided they're going to
That's why they're doing it. I mean, so they're in the news. I mean, that's what Antonio Brown's entire Twitter thing is about. Like when he was sitting there trolling on Caitlin Clark and all the grotesque comments he was making about her, because her star is shining bright and she's getting tons of media coverage. So he's sitting there trying to pivot off that. That's all the guy does, is he sits there and tries to stay in the news for whatever.
Trying to stay relevant.
Yep. Rams beat the Raiders. Nobody cares.
That's fair.
Battle of I-15.
Yes.
Washington destroyed despite losing Jade Daniels. They destroyed
40-7. Carolina's a terrible team.
They are. They're bad.
I mean, they got the Red Rocket behind their center, and he's throwing interceptions left and right all game long. So I mean,
well, guess what the common thread is there? They have a terrible owner.
Yes.
That's how that works, dude.
Just like the Browns have a terrible owner, just like, the
Cowboys.
Jets have a terrible owner, the Cowboys have a terrible owner. I mean, ownership is, if you don't have a great front office, you're just gonna suffer.
I mean, they're not interested in winning football games when you come to think about it. Because Jerry Jones, honestly, he ain't interested in winning nothing.
He's making billions every year off his advertising. And the TV.
Why should he care?
He's a better owner than these other guys, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
he gets in his own way.
That doesn't
make him a great owner.
One of the Cowboys' big advertisers is Ford, and so that tells you all you need to know right there. So.
At least the Cowboys will win. The Cowboys will at least win 12 or 13 games some years. I mean, the Panthers, it takes them 5 seasons to win that many games.
I've heard rumors that the NFC South is trying to trade the Carolina Panthers to the Atlantic Coast Conference in exchange for Georgia Tech.
Why don't they just send them in Jacksonville to London?
All right, tonight we've got
only even trading that would have been if they were traded for Florida State.
Oh God,
by the way, and the New Orleans Saints were destroyed on Thursday night by the Denver Broncos.
Yes, ever since they had that second line parade coming out of AT&T Stadium, they have not come close to winning a game.
Frauds.
Yeah.
Derek Carr's back.
Nobody knows who that is anymore.
They played 2 fraudulent games. That was their first 2 games of the season.
They've gone from who dat to who cares.
Clint Kubiak was going to be a head coach, and Derek Carr's career was resurrected. It was wonderful.
We'll see.
Well, when Bo Nix can outplay Spencer Rattler, there's a problem. But again, Bo Nix actually is playing pretty well this year.
Dude, that ain't saying much if you're outplaying Spencer Rattler, okay?
Yeah.
That one play that Spencer Rattler.
Or whatever his name is, to clean up. You know what I'm saying? So, no.
That one play that Spencer Rattler got sacked and fumbled the ball away, and the Broncos scooped and scored. That was typical scenes.
I had the Denver defense in my fantasy. They scored 35 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and granted,
that was 30 gifted.
The Saints scored 10 points, but the only touchdown was in the fourth quarter from
Jake.
Yeah. Jake Hayner is his name, I guess.
Hayner or something like that.
Yeah.
I think they were missing 3 offensive linemen: Carr, Taysom Hill, Olave, and Shaheed. I mean, again, Thursday night football. The league cares about the health of the players, and therefore none of the players suit up.
Ding, 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 ding.
Well, again, they were missing everybody, but
why can't
we were frauds right after those 91 points they scored in the first 2 weeks.
Right. Why can't we just have one?
Wasn't doing that shit.
Why can't we just have one Thursday night game a month and make the Thanksgiving night game one of them? I mean, I don't see any reason for weekly Thursday night games.
It's all revenues.
Once a month.
Because think about it, Ken. It used to be 2 games on Thanksgiving with Dallas and Detroit hosting both. Right. Now it's 3 games with a nightcap with a random selection of teams. And now this season, they're going to have a game on Christmas Day, which is on a Wednesday this year.
Oh, and they're going to have a Black Friday game too.
Yes.
We got Black Friday game.
You gentlemen, the almighty dollar speaks louder
NCAA really love that
world. okay, they don't care what you think. They care about what goes in their pockets. And the more you put on, the more games you put on in different days, that's a hell of a lot more revenue than you're going to get. You know, it's like tomorrow. You know what they did tomorrow? They made two Monday Night Football games, but the second one can only be seen on ESPN Plus.
Right, that's this week. Yes, tomorrow night.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
If you want to have good Thursday night football, what you need to do is have the two teams that are playing have a bye the week before, play Thursday night, and then have a short bye. And if you sat there and lined that up throughout the season, you could get a lot of good Thursday night games because everyone would be well rested.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, tomorrow night, the Chargers and the Cardinals play on ESPN Plus exclusively. It's a good thing nobody gives a shit about either one of those teams, so you're not going to watch it anyway.
They're throwing ESPN Plus subscribers a bone, and it ain't a good one.
I mean, they're plugging it this way. John Harbaugh plays in the opener, and his brother Jim plays in the second game. So they got the Harbaugh show tomorrow night on ESPN.
That Baltimore Tampa game has potential to be a good game.
I mean, that's gonna be I'm actually wanting to watch.
I'm excited for that game.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a really good game. So.
And Russell Wilson is officially started for the Steelers tonight.
Yeah, Russ gets to cook in Pittsburgh tonight.
So far, he's not cooking very much.
We'll have to see.
All right. So what else you got tonight, guys? Anything else? Texas sucks.
Shout out to the Dallas Stars who are 4-1.
Oh yeah, Texas. They suck.
Texas got their asses kicked by Georgia last night.
Georgia stomped them.
Yes, they did.
Did you see where they made that bad interference call? The one beer can came out on the field, then the whole field got littered with beer cans, and then they reversed that call.
Yes. Well,
I'm like,
NCAA fined Texas.
They got fined $250,000 for it too.
Yes, they fined that.
But if they'll just hold on and hold off on finding whoever all it was the perpetrators, then maybe the SEC will reverse the call and
right.
like they did the pass interference.
Well,
that was a no call. I mean, it was equal pushing and shoving on all the way down the field. So,
the fact that they changed it after the fact is what.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. They reversed it properly, but I think the precedent that sets. I mean, they just made alcohol sales legal at Camp Randall.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and the Badgers. I mean, drink as much beer as anybody. I mean,
that's shades of the Bottlegate controversy with the Browns all those years ago when the fans were throwing bottles on the floor on the field, and the referees ran out of the stadium for their lives because they were getting pelted.
Hey, Ken, I'm pretty sure you remember way back in I think the 70s. That they had
10 cent beer night. 10 cent beer night?
Yeah.
I was in that game on the radio.
10 cent beer night in Cleveland. Yeah, that was a bright idea, wasn't it?
I was in that game on the radio. I couldn't believe it then. It's still kind of hard to believe now.
That one in Disco Demolition Derby.
Oh, that too. I remember that one too. Tore up the field. Blew it.
Oh yeah.
Burned up the just outside the infield.
Yeah, they were pretty. That was pretty lame on Chicago's part. In Cleveland's part.
I remember all of that shit.
See, it's stuff like that.
Here comes my train.
Stuff like that. Why the Gindians are cursed the way they are.
I also remember the Hail Mary pass to Pearson in the playoff game. And coming in, that someone threw an orange on the field, and then all of a sudden here comes a bottle and hits the back judge in the back of the head. Armin Turgeon.
Everybody thought it was a flag for interference, and there was actually an orange that went flying by.
It was an orange, and then a bottle, it was an empty bottle of vodka.
Bottom first, Mets are up 1-0 against the Dodgers.
Although the Bills take the cake for throwing the sex toy at Brady.
Oh, yeah. Yes. The dildo.
Yes. All right. On that note, we're going to get the hell out of here. I want to thank my co-host tonight, Mr. Ken Casso, Eliot, Big E, the producer, Lamba. And of course, our always welcome Mr. Derek Laughlin. We are the Sports Nerds. We again broadcast 3 times a week. And if you want to watch the replay, it'll be on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and of course Peak D on the blockchain. Gentlemen, always a pleasure. Great show tonight. We shall see you guys, those that will make it. We'll see you on Tuesday, at 6 p.m. And with that note, we're getting out of here. Eliot, please hit the outro.
Lamba out.
Thank you once again, Red Nation, for spending part, if not all of your evening with us here for this latest episode of the Sports Nerd Show. Please keep in mind that we do this on a regular basis every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday night. And since each night's start time is different, please check out our SNN group page on Facebook for the correct time. So until the next time we come together, Nerd Nation, on behalf of the Sports Nerd and his co-hosts, Ken Costa, John Colston, Wayne Lynch, and me, Big E, may your lives be filled with all the best sports action anyone human can handle, as well as all the joy it can possibly bring you. And with all that said, good night, Nerd Nation, as the time